Hello, year 7. This is Mr. Perez, and this is your video tutorial on your investigating the ancient past source task. In this task, these are the things that you must do. So first, let me point your direction to the due date, which is tomorrow. Today you will receive it, which is the 26th of March, and it will be due 2 weeks from today, or from Tuesday, which is the 9th of April. All right, so we are going to go over this task. Please follow along as I read. You are a historian researching the history of Aboriginal peoples in the Willandra Lakes region. Part of your research requires you locate and investigate sources. You are to select two sources, one archaeological and one written, from the range provided, and locate one more source of your choice. You may use the websites provided to help you locate this additional source. You are then to use these sources to address Part A and Part B of this task. Part A. You are to answer the following questions for each source. You are going to have 3 sources. These are the questions you must answer. What is the context of the source? In order to answer this question, you must answer these sub-questions. 1A. What is the source? Is it a diary entry? Is it a paragraph from a website? Is it a photograph? Is it a piece of pottery? Is it a painting? Etc. Who created it? Is there an author? Is there a known author? When was it created? If you don't have the exact date, give an approximation. And where was it created? As far as, was it created in China? Was it created in the United States of America? Was it created in Australia? The second question you must answer for your source is, what is the purpose of this source? To answer this question, again, answer the following sub-questions. Why was this source created? What is the purpose? What is the purpose of creating a diary? What is the purpose of taking a photograph? What is the purpose of a piece of pottery? Depending on what the source is. Why does one create this source for? The next question is, how can it be used by a historian investigating the Willandra Lakes? In other words, what does this source reveal about the location and the people of the Willandra Lakes? All right. How can you use this information? What information can be discovered? Part B. Using the 3 sources as evidence, describe how the Aboriginal people lived in the Willandra Lakes region during ancient times. Your response should be no longer than 400 words. This is an extended response. First, you must do Part A and then Part B. Now we'll continue on, and I will go back to tell you explicitly how your assessment should look like. So in this task, you will be assessed on how well you can identify the origin and purposes of sources, select and use information from a range of sources as evidence. The outcomes being assessed here: identify the meaning, purpose, and context of historical sources, and uses evidence from sources to support historical narratives and explanations. Your submission instructions. This is very important to follow for your assessment task. It is the easiest thing that can be done, but can very easily be not done correctly. Your source task must be typed. You cannot handwrite this task. You must type it up on a program such as Microsoft Word or a Google Doc. And you must print it. You must include a copy of your chosen source, which I will explain more about that in a minute. You are to use Arial font and it should be size 12. Please remember to put your name at the top of the document, this document. Always put your name on your paper. Nothing looks more tacky than when you have to write your name in with your pen or your pencil the day of. So make it look nice and help your teacher out by putting your name at the top, typing your name at the top of your document. And the last point here, it must be submitted to your classroom teacher by the due date. Here we have a statement of ownership. We should be submitting this sheet along with our assessment tasks the day it is due with your signature. Now, if we continue on, the sources are given for you here. Remember, this is where it goes back to here. You may use the websites provided. Oh, where is it? From the range. So you are to select 2 sources from the range provided and locate one of your choice. So the range provided is just found below here. These are the sources. Source 1 is an archaeological source. Source 2 is another archaeological source. For some reason on my computer, it's not coming up at the moment, but on your sheet, you will see another picture of an archaeological source. Source 3 is a written source, and source 4 is a written source. You must choose only one from the archaeological sources, and you must choose one from the written sources. Now, if you remember, you need to have 3 sources. The third source can be found on either one of these websites. These websites have been specifically chosen by your teacher where you will be able to find information about the Aboriginal peoples in the Willandra Lakes. I recommend clicking on visiting both sites and finding a source that you think helps you understand the people in the Willandra Lakes. Here is the assessment criteria. We should all be reaching for outstanding. We have context, purpose. And down below we have for our extended response, evidence, and description. Now, let me take you to these keywords. Provide detailed and accurate outline on all contexts on all 3 sources, and you clearly address all the 4 elements, which are the questions. Answer all the questions. Again, detailed, accurate. The outstanding is in the detail you put into your assessment task. In part B, in your extended response, effectively use the 3 sources to strongly support the description. You can actually make a connection. You must use your 3 sources in your writing. This is your evidence. And the last one is your description, which is, again, detailed, accurate. The outstanding mark comes in the detail of your writing. Now, have a look at the assessment criteria on your own. I want you to highlight those keywords for yourself. Now, on to the formatting of the assessment task. Remember, at the end we must have 3 sources. So, if I create a document, this is my example for you to follow. All right, we have part A, source analysis. We have source 1. Remember, source 1, you must choose from one of the archaeological sources. For now, I will simply just choose this one. I would copy and paste it directly into my working document. Then I simply copied the questions that I must answer and I pasted them below my source. Source 1, the picture of the archaeological source, and then I will answer each of the following sub-questions for this source. Now, source 2. Source 2 must be a written source from the ones provided here. You must choose either source 3 or source 4. So again, I will copy the information of my source that I'm going to choose, and I will paste it directly into my document. This is my second source. And again, I copy and I pasted the same questions at the bottom of the source. And again, I will answer all of these sub questions. You might need to go back to the citation and URL that was given to you to find out more information about your source to answer these questions. Now, you need to find a third source on your own. Let's look at the criteria that is needed for source 3. Locate one more source of your choice. So that means it may be an archaeological source or it may be a written source. So to find that, you would go, my recommendation would be to first visit the sites that have been provided for you. Here is one of the sites. Here is another site. All these different things, these two websites have lots of information that you can research to help you understand. So for the sake of time now, let's say I want to choose this one as my source. So again, I would copy it and put it directly into my source, into my document that I am working on. And then again, I copy pasted the answers, the questions right below it. I would recommend at least put a bibliography for your third source. Locate the author, name of, let's make that go. Name of website, author or creator of website, URL, the date you viewed the site, which for us today is the 25th of March, 2019. This is part A. I have my archaeological one. I answer the questions. I have my written source and I answer the questions. And I have my third source that I found on my own. And again, I answer the same exact questions. This is part A and what your part A should look like as well. Remember, outstanding is in the details. Answer the questions detail the answers. Part B now. Part B will be directly underneath Part A. It is your extended response. When you see extended response, you should think that you're going to be writing a little bit more than just one paragraph or a couple of sentences. The question that you need to answer is describe how the Aboriginal peoples lived in the Willandra Lakes region during ancient times. During ancient times. So you must describe the way the Aboriginal people lived in the Willandra Lakes region during ancient times. You have done most of the work already if you have correctly done part A. So, in your writing, you must now answer this question. Describe how the Aboriginal people lived in the Willandra Lakes region during ancient times. So again, if you have one thought, all right, or want to describe one feature of life, all right, make that one paragraph, all right. Go straight to the point, okay? And it's very important that you use your sources, okay, as evidence. According to source one, we see this and this. This shows that the people lived this way. Okay? You must directly reference your sources. This is part of your outcomes being assessed, which is here. Uses evidence from sources to support historical narratives and explanations. Please rewatch this video again, and if you have any questions, ask your teacher sooner rather than later, as this will allow you enough time to get the right answers and to be set in the right direction. This task will take you several hours to complete. Please do not leave it for the last minute. Please do not procrastinate. Start the assessment task as soon as possible. If you sit down, you could probably get it done in a couple of hours. But again, the outstanding mark comes in the detail and the accuracy of your writing.